At Kaudihituhan, it's time for class. Gunalchish hati adi nila Torah aya kashak tani kik hatu gut hatu yak e yich satini takatuhan da deich yagi hin tanach kayani disi tle ka naskadu shuya chi Hi, everybody. Nila Toga here and Shaksani Keek. We're happy to see you again. Thank you for coming back. Today is Tuesday, March 28th, and we're just coming back together after taking a week off for spring break. So we're excited to be back together again. I'm up here. Hakuik ye that. So I'm in my father's people's land of the village of Kaltag. In Koya, our language is called Danaka, and in English it's referred to as Koyakan Athabaskan. So since we're just coming back together again, I'd like to share. We'll have a little warming of the hands, coming back together, sharing how your week was. And then I'd like to share about Kaltag. I've been up here for 1 week and I'll stay one more week. But we call it stick dance. It's the way we do ku'ik up here in lower Koyakan, Athabaskan country. And then probably on Thursday, we'll have a discussion about celebration and how it was done in the early days. But today we'll probably focus on my culture sharing. So I wrote this slide just to honor that we're coming back together again after a while. I wrote Suwushka Nachutuda'at. We gathered together again. And so just doing a quick check-in. How is everybody? Wasayiyati Yuhan Khan Kananik.
Gleich was achat tegen nog chees.
Okay. Khatsu tlalwasa khatute. Me too, I'm doing good too. Adu satsu wasayiyati. If you're just warming back up again, you can share in English. I just want to hear your voices. Just tuwasugu yisacho ahi yayidat. Askutiyiksha.
Yake. I missed you guys so much. I came into class last week and then realized as I sat here for 15 minutes, why am I not being let in the class? And then I actually looked, and I don't know how I just missed it and forgot about it. So it was nice to be back after not realizing that there was no class last week. And then next week I'm going to Montreal to visit my honey, and I think he's gonna maybe present one of the Fridays that I'm there. Anyways, so that's exciting. I might miss a class, but it's because I'm over there. So glad to be here this week. Thank you. You've, at least for me, you've frozen.
Anna. Yeah, I can tell. I froze. Am I still frozen? Okay. I froze. I didn't realize Zeus was in Montreal, and yes, he is coming to speak in our class. I'll check in with him about. We have a date set. I just have to remember when it was. It's written down.
Yeah, I want to tell the class that the noise in the background is my new freezer being delivered.
Okay. And the noise in my background is snow goes running around. I have the window open because there was a little bit of a gas leak in my auntie's office. Okay, adu satsu wasayati.
Ach, tuwu yake.
Okay.
That's the third class of having the forearm straps ready.
Did you have a good week off? Hi. Morning. Good. Oh yeah, just teaching a class. Ah, yeah, it's all right.
Somebody got to do it too.
Huh?
Somebody got to do it.
Yeah.
Katsu Aktuyak E Yayidat At Oe Yayigi Amdakan.
On your left.
Okay. I'm Digana guy. Yeah, yeah. Galtatsu Audigan ya yigi. Achuechatsu achtu yake. Sunny at Caltech too. That's why I feel good too. No pressure. If anyone else wants to chime in, just feel free. You can unmute your mic and talk or raise your hand, however you feel comfortable. But it's not required. It's just a chance for us to come back together again.
Maybe you can, in my mind, I can't tell where Caltech is.
Yeah.
I know where Cordova is, I know where Yakutat is, and I know where Prince Sound, is it Prince Sound?
Thank you for reminding me. Let me pull up a map. It's on the Yukon River. Oops. And I'm going to open this map to give everybody a visual. It's really far away from Southeast, so I'm glad you reminded me to share like where it is. So I'm going to zoom out here. And let's see, here it is. Okay, so Caltech, it's and so it's at this point in the river, and it's near the village of Nulato. Nulato is just right here. It's 36 miles backriver, and Caltech is here. But as I zoom out on my map, I'll describe it to you too. It's way up in the interior and way far west. So it's in Athabascan land, but it's so close to the coast that we have a lot of we've had a long-standing relationship with the Inupiaq people from Unalakleet because they're right close to us. So I'm going to zoom back in to give you a better idea. But Caltech is way downriver. So in our language, in English, it's called Koyukon Athabascan. We have 3 dialects of Koyukon. So there's Central Koyukon, which is kind of mid Yukon River. And there's Lower Koyukon. That's where my family is from. And we speak a little bit differently from Central Koyukon. And then Upper Koyukon is way upriver. Actually in this area, sorry. So I'm going to zoom back in. And you can see where the Yukon River starts to turn south. So if you're going downriver from Fairbanks, you go past Ruby and Galena, and then the village of Koyukuk, where the Yukon River connects with the Koyukuk River. And then if you keep going down, you hit Mulatto and then Caltech. So it's right where the Yukon starts to head straight south over toward the YK Delta, the Yukon Kuskokwim Delta. But there's a mountain pass here between Unalakleet and Caltech. And my great grandpa used to travel through this mountain pass. You can get to Unalakleet there by foot or in the wintertime by snow go or snow machine.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was that in that direction.
Yeah, it's way over close to Inupiaq land, pretty close to the coast. And so my great grandpa Simara was a mail carrier. And back when they delivered mail by dog team, his section he was responsible for, he took mail from Mulatto downriver to Caltech and then through the mountain pass to Unalakleet. And so that's the direction the Iditarod still goes today when it goes up over toward the coast. And yeah, I see a comment in the chat. I didn't realize how far the Yukon River extended, and it's such an incredible river. Yukon is actually our word for river. We use an underlined K, Yukon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the river when I went to, I think it was Glenallen. And I couldn't believe my eyes as to how big that was. And the fact that it was moving, and you can tell that you can tell how deep it was because it moved so slowly and so powerfully.
Yeah.
Tremendous. Can't even begin to describe how I felt.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, us with our little fish creeks that we use.
Yeah. When in the summertime, when I'm next to when I go to the riverbank, it's such an interesting feeling because I just feel calm. But it's like you said, like it feels still and quiet because you don't hear the river moving, but it still kind of emits this tremendous, powerful feeling because it's a big, powerful river. So I've been here for 1 week and I came up a week early because we're getting ready for our stick dance. And I want to share with you today about it. I've been taking pictures and I'll just kind of talk to you about it. So Caltech stick dance.
Good day.
In Danaka, it's called Gashta Hia. Gashta, as I wrote here on the top, is the native name for Caltech, Gashta, and Hia is what we call our memorial potlatch. In English, we refer to it as stick dance. And like I mentioned, our native language is called Danaka. It just means our way. That's all it means is Danaka, our way. Koikan Athabaskan is a term that anthropologists came up with when the newcomers settled on our lands to describe us. Usually our elders prefer that we say Danaka. And Basta Kwanach Ishas, my father's people are of Caltech. When I talk about the Kwan of our people, I mix Danaka and Tlingit if I'm describing it in Tlingit. And so let's see. There's a lot of similarities to Kuik, or at least what I've experienced in Southeast, but I'll sort of share with you how we do it up here. And so I have photos. This first picture is just of Ha'ani, our town. And I took this picture this morning because it was a really pretty sunrise. I had to capture a photo of it, but this greenhouse is my Auntie Violet's house. I took this picture from the doorway of my cousin Jessica is where I stay when I come. And they have their snow goes or snow machines out front with the red toboggan tied to the back. I wrote some Tlingit language terms since this is a Tlingit language class, but I will also talk to my aunties this week about how to say some of these things in Danaka for sharing down the road. Because I'm still learning Danaka. I don't know as much as I know how to say in Tlingit. But anyway, we checked our rewu, our fishnet. And so this is my cousin Jessica's husband, Calvin. And he and I, our village is on the riverbank here off to the right. And so when we check the fishnet, we get in Snowgo and drive across the river. And I was telling Shaksani Keek the way we set this is there's two long poles, and the net is tied to each end of the net is tied to one of the poles, and it's underneath the ice here. So every time we check it every couple of days. It's one of my favorite things to do when I come to Caltag in the spring. But I come out with Cal, we shovel out the area next to each pole so that we can get to the ice. And then we start chipping it. We bring this this ice chipper and just chip around the edge. And Shaksani Keek, Khanakawanik, Woodladik Hin Yuduwasak, frozen water or frozen river. And so everybody go ahead and unmute your mics and repeat after me. Woodladik Hin.
Woodley
Woodley
Dick.
Dick.
Heen.
Ah, okay. So here we are chipping it away. Work up a little bit of a sweat. And then you pull up one end of the pole and untie the net, and then you tie it to a messenger line, a spool of line that stays on top of the ice. And the temperature right now, someone asked in the chat the temperature. Today it's 17 degrees. It's been kind of fluctuating. Some days it feels kind of warmer, like 23 or something, and then we got some snow and wind, and now it's cool and sunny. But yeah, so you make off one end of the net to a spool of line that stays above the ice, and then you pull the net from one end and pick fish as you're pulling. And so in this one we got 4 fish, and so in Tlingit you can repeat after me. Dakun khat wutuwadlaq.
Utawalachak.
So we got 4 fish. We got 3 chief fish, and this one off to the right is a lush. That's my dad's favorite. And this one I fried up. I fried up the lush. All the fish this time were about 2 to 3 feet long, so nice big ones. I think the pike up here can get really, really big. But anyway, I fried up the lush, and then I'll show you what we did with the chief fish. Let's see. My auntie is scraping its scales. So we shared the fish, we kept the lush and fried it up, and then we handed out the chief fish to different people so they could make fish ice cream. And so here's my auntie scraping off its scales. This is my auntie Joas Malka. And then after you scrape it, she cut it up into kind of like steak style chunks, and we boiled it. And then after you boil it, you can wring it out if you want to make fish ice cream. So fish ice cream in Danaka is called nakhlada. And the way you do that, so here you have, you know, there's quite a bit of work that took place between this point and cutting the fish, but you boil it and then you wring it out. So you wring out all the moisture, so it's nice dry flakes. And then I went to my Auntie Vi's house, and she was making fish ice cream, and so I took a photo of her. But what you do is you mix moose tallow, or if you don't have that, then Crisco, and seal oil, or if you don't have that, then Wesson oil. And first you whip it up together for a long time until it gets all mixed up and there's no chunks. It'll end up kind of like this nice frothy texture. And here's my auntie. She made fish ice cream. So she's whipping it up, and after it gets whipped up and all mixed up, you add sugar, and then and then little by little I added the fish, and so the texture ends up being like really kind of ice cream style texture. And then you add sugar, yeah, sugar, and then the fish. And then if you have berries, it's really good with fermented salmon berries. What we call salmon berries up here they grow low to the ground. They're from the tundra, and they're smaller. And I think down there you call them cloudberries, but up here we call them salmon berries because you harvest them at the same time that the salmon are coming up the river. But yeah, if you don't have berries, you can use salmon berries fermented. You can use blueberries, or if you don't have berries, like this year was not a really good berry year in Caltech, so we used raisins. It's busy. It's a busy week. So since it's our potlatch this week, everybody was busy all week last week putting up food, and so I should share a little bit about the meaning of our hiya and how we do it and why. But it's a week long. Our hiya lasts 1 week, and it's a chance for us to say goodbye to our loved ones. And it's been quite a few years since we were able to hold hiya because of COVID. And so now that we're finally able to gather again, it's everyone that's passed away in the last 6 years who's ready to put their family away, their loved ones who they lost, they're ready to put them away. They're all being honored. So this is a pretty big one. But my grandma passed away in 2017, and so I'm here to give water. And so the process goes, on the last Saturday of hiya, you give water to somebody that you're going to choose to dress. And that starts the process for you participating in stick dance for your loved one. And when we do that, we're honoring them. We're helping ourselves grieve, and then we're also helping our loved ones who passed away be with their relatives who left us before them. And so it's really important to do this. My grandma was a big believer in stick dance, and so when my family and I in the city kind of drug our feet on it and decided not to honor her in this one, my Auntie Hazel called me right away and was like, "Girl, get your butt up here right now. You need to do this for Auntie," because my grandma was their Auntie Regine. "You need to do this for Auntie because she's needs to be with her loved ones, and we need this for her too," because everybody just loved my grandma. And so I came right away, and I'm thankful for my aunties for making sure I do things the right way, because they help me be a good person and do things right. So I came up. I'm so glad I did. But we've just been busy putting up food. And so the week before potlatch, we're busy preparing food because each night we go into the tribal hall together. We bring all our dishes. We bring every part of a meal, and so you can share it with everybody. And then we come in the hall. We wear our medzahulan. In Yupik, you probably know the Yupik word kasbak. In Danaka, we call it medzahulan. But we dress up, we come together, we share stories about our loved ones, all the families who are honoring somebody who passed. Go get a chance to go up and speak, and we give them that space to grieve. And then all the women's go up and uncover all the food that we cooked, and we set it out for everybody, and then we feast, and we eat a lot. And then after we're done eating, We clear out the hall, bring our leftovers home, rest a little bit, and then we go back to the hall again. And that's when we do all our native singing and dancing. And every time a person passes, when you're going to honor them at stick dance, you write them a song. And so the first songs we listened to were the new ones for people who recently lost somebody, and they sang it for us, and we all danced quietly. And then after that, we do all the old songs that everybody knows, and then it's a little more lively, and we're dancing and singing, and it's a really fun time. So last night we were probably dancing and singing till 10:30. And I think as the week goes on, we're going to stay later and later because it just gets wilder and wilder. But it gives us a chance to be with our loved ones before we say goodbye. And then later in the week, I'll talk to you more about it, maybe on Thursday, just about like the next steps, what we do. But basically, when you dress somebody, you choose one person who really took care of your loved one before they passed away, and you ask them ahead of time. My family and I would like to dress you for Grandma Gina. So I asked my Auntie Jo Esmelka, and she said yes. And so when I give water on Saturday, I'll give her a dish. First, I hand her the water, and if she accepts, then it's an honor. And then we get to dress her in the next stick dance. So all the people who are dressing someone in this one are busy every day cooking meals for the person they're going to dress, and then they bring them the dish. We call it glock. And you, at the end of the week, you physically dress that person. You give them clothes, and they dress up as the person you lost, and then they walk around the village to each house so that you can say goodbye to them. So after a week of cooking, eating, singing, and dancing together, we say goodbye, and then that helps us pass them on to the spirit world. So I'll share more about that with you later on. I don't have videos of the hia or the stick dance. The elders, my aunties and uncles, said I could share with you about what it is and why we do it. The only thing they don't want is for people to publicize actual footage of us participating in hia because it's pretty spiritually powerful, and it's a time of grieving and mourning. So people still do, just because we're at that generation where we want to share how we do things and restore our cultural pride. But I don't have any videos or photos to share. But so yeah, someone dropped off this moose leg, and I like going. This is at my auntie's house, Joe and Ann Esmalka. Every time I go to their house, I learn so much about putting up food. And one thing I like about my Auntie Jo is that when she gets food, she deals with it right away. And so we spent the whole day cutting up this moose leg, and you can see the pan at the right of the moose. That's where we cut it in strips and prepare it for dry meat. So we lay down a layer of strips and then put a little seasoning on it and lay down another layer, and we'll dry it like that. So we're really lucky that this the men, yeah, Diskli Haji Tasawati, the men gave us this moose meat, and we get to eat it and share it. So I took this photo when we were working. I stopped and I was like, "Can I take a picture of everybody?" And they're all laughing. But this was my workstation where you can see the cutting board and my mahandani. You probably know it in the Yupik word ulu. In Danaka, we call it. And this is where I was working all day. It took us all day to cut up this moose leg. And so sorry if I freeze, but season it and work on it. And then that same day, meanwhile, while we're cooking and putting up food for the potlatch and to share, we're also sewing, because part of dressing somebody is you make them nice things to wear. And so, my sister made this hat, and yeah, we were just proud of her. because it was her first beaver skin hat that she made, and it turned out really good. And so this is my sister or my cousin Jessica, and you can see Grandma Margaret looking up at her, and she's just proud because when she finished it, Grandma Margaret said it that was her first one and it turned out good. So that's a good sign that all her other, like, she'll continue to make a lot of good hats. But yeah, Grandma Margaret lets us know how to do things the right way, and she's
So
just
did you get the bones from the moose?
yeah. We put the bones away so that we could boil them and eat the marrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I'm just hungry for that too. I'll see if I can nab some to bring down. I'll ask my Auntie Joe. Yeah. Lot of food was cooked. Uh-huh.
I was wondering too, is the the fish ice cream,
Uh-huh.
it has to be whipped up.
Yeah.
I know that must be an old recipe.
Yeah.
Uh, I was wondering how did they whip it up in the olden days?
Yeah. Even today they still do it by hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way we used to do soap berries. We didn't have a beater, so used our hand.
Yeah. That's a lot of work, but it's good. She said, so my Auntie Joe is the fish ice cream expert. Everybody in the village knows Auntie Joe makes the best. And so we asked her for advice. And so this is my Auntie Vi and I working on it. And Joe told her, be patient. Remember to be patient when you're making it. Don't rush and really feel it with your fingers. And she showed us with her hand motions what to do. Because you want to, like, at first when you mix the lard and the oil, the lard will clump up, and so you need to be able to squeeze it between your fingertips until it's all smooth and feels good. Yeah, I think some people do use a like egg beater when they're in a hurry, but I think it turns out better when you use your hand.
Now you have to you feel it to make it just right, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they used to say, how did you beat up the soap berries before we got beaters?
yeah,
Use your hand. I, that's the only way I saw it when I was growing up.
yeah. Did they do it? Do they do it in a big bowl too, like for soap berries?
You make it in a big bowl, and the women, prepares everything, but it's the men that do the beating.
Yeah. Okay.
We even have a dance, so called soapberry dance, where at a potluck uh, they take these bowls, and after they're finished with all the sugar and the fruit, whatever they put in, they dance it. And I don't know the song. I wish I did. Somebody knows it, let me know, because that's really a fun time. And all the guests stand up and dance so they could get some silverberries.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
I love that.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, when my aunties make nachlada or fish ice cream, they put it on a chair so it's low down because they're busy whipping it with their hand for like an hour or two, making sure it's all smooth.
well, when you do the strips of moose meat,
Uh-huh.
at this time of the year, you don't have to worry about bugs and flies.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we
Because of that, we had to lightly smoke all our meats and our fish to keep the bugs away.
oh,
Yeah.
that's smart.
Yeah.
This moose had a nice layer of fat on it too, which I think is kind of lucky for the winter time. It's kind of rare. And in my picture, there's you can kind of see it a little bit. There's like a bag, a Ziploc bag, and that is some fat that I cut up. So we dried it. They hung it up really, strung it out. It's really thin, and just hung it on hangers like a thin veil. And it dried really nice. And so I cut it up into small pieces so that we can hand it out at potlatch. It's really,
Yeah, it's really good.
yeah,
I know that uh, that's really interesting about putting them on hangers
yeah.
because I know that we had to prepare all kinds of sticks of wood to hang our fish on and our meat, to
Oh,
smoke it, dry it.
yeah, in the summertime, we dry everything in the smokehouse. There's a fenced in area, a screened off area where you can work on your fish and meat and hang things up before you put it in the smokehouse.
Um,
And in the wintertime, we just hung it up inside above the stove so it would dry. Yeah.
Yeah, my family does that too for the winter. If we were to get a moose in the winter, we do it inside. And my mom always looks out for like the old types of baby cribs because it's like a nice little hanger that you can just like hang in your house with all the little things already good to go.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you ever see one at a free store, it's really good for hanging fish and meat.
Hey, hey, I
Ah,
like it.
that's
Yeah.
that's wonderful. That's really wonderful.
Yeah, somewhere outside.
Yeah, good tip. Good tip. That's awesome. Yeah, in our downtime, so one thing my grandma Margaret said is that like whenever we're working on sewing and beading, we need to be listening to our traditional songs. And
Cool.
here you can see our CD player. We have a whole stack of CDs from Potlatch, and we just keep playing them the whole time. And when it runs out, she'll say, "Hey, this music ended," and I'll hop right up and switch it so we can keep the music going. And when we're waiting for food to cook or something, there's nothing in the kitchen to be doing, we're kind of beading and sewing. I'm making a headband, and I was laughing with my cousins because I was like, I haven't beaded in a long time. I was like, man, when you haven't beaded and you never bead for a long time, and then the first thing you make is something you're gonna slap on your forehead all week long. Here's my headband. I wrote my name and kind of like making flowers and stuff to put on it. It's almost done, but it's just something to pass the time. There's a lot of laughter and good times going on all day.
I know beadwork is such a social event.
Yeah.
You can visit, drink tea, and just have a lot of fun. We used to get together, say, "Hey, let's do some beadwork." More gossip things, beadwork,
Yeah.
but it was really a nice time to get
I
together.
want to put one of these in.
And my mom used to, if she's going to check your work, she doesn't look at the beads. She looks on the back.
Uh, check
And
your
if it's really neat looking without a lot of knots, that's a good job.
good. That is where the
Yeah,
secrets are, is in the back too, huh?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Really try to hide all the mistakes.
Yep, exactly. If things got knotted up. Try to keep my back
Tie
pretty.
it up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you get a big knot. You can't undo it. You just uh, cut it and tie it together and leave it.
Yeah, yep. Um, so yesterday was the first day of our stick dance, and we were busy, my cousin and I, or my sister and I. And so we brought over fried chicken, bacon wrapped asparagus, we baked a cake, and then this was my first time cooking stuffed moose intestine. And in Lingit, I know it's called nasi, moose intestine. And so
Yeah.
so I washed it, and then we thawed out ground meat. And so I put the thawed out ground meat in this bowl and seasoned it. And then I washed out the intestine and tied off each end. This was 2 big pieces. And this is where I learned how big moose intestine is. It's probably like, if you stretch it out this way,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like 4 inches wide. It's really big.
Yukon, like the Yukon River, so
Yeah, yeah,
be really big.
yeah, it's like the Yukon. So I
I
washed
was
it.
telling
Uh-huh.
the students we ate that, and they said, "Oh, do you eat intestine?" I said, "Yeah."
Mm.
I said, "If you ate link sausage, you already had intestines."
Yeah, yeah,
Same thing,
it's the same thing, yeah.
glamorized.
And it's really good. And we use all of the
Yeah,
animals. Same thing in Tlingit culture. Don't let things go to waste. And yeah, it tastes good too. So season the meat, put it in the intestine, tie off the ends, and then we baked it at 350 for 2 hours. Added just a little bit of water to keep it moist, and then I covered it. And then for the last 15 minutes, my auntie told me take the cover off. And when I did that, I kind of seasoned the top again, so it had a little bit of seasonings on the top, and it ended up looking like this. So here I have it in a baking dish with the ends tied. I put a little bit of butter and seasoning on top, and my cousin Jessica told me that it was good that I did that because she said it tastes really good. It went really fast too. Everybody yummed it up, so I was feeling good about it. My first time making disc nasi or moose intestine. And then here we were laughing too. What's
we
that
used to
shirt?
call it atnasi,
Oh, atnasi,
atna.
atna.
Yeah, that means it's from. They're not saying where it's from.
Oh, okay. So you just say atnasi, atnasi. Ik ego na tish, atnasi.
But so you slice those up, or how do you
Yeah,
serve it
yeah, and then to
after it's all cooked?
gonna tish. After it was all cooked, I decided to bring one for last night, and then we'll bring the other one tonight. But I took it out and cleaned off this cutting board, put it on there, and then cut the strings off, and then took a sharp knife and sliced it crossways, maybe as small as I could. I think each piece was maybe like a little less than an inch wide. And so it comes out with this nice fatty layer from the nasi around the ground meat. And so it's easy to serve. I put it in a dish with a couple forks so people could grab it easy. And it went pretty fast, so I was happy. Let's see what else. We baked this cake in the morning, and we used this bright hot pink funfetti icing, and then they ended up saving it for the dancing. So when we passed out food and we ate, they held a couple desserts aside so that when we come back and dance at night, people are going to be hungry and drinking coffee, so I served this at night, and it was kind of fun. We were laughing when we were cooking because when you're in that mode where you're so busy cooking and working all day, and then the littlest things crack you up. So Jessica and I were sewing and beading all morning, kind of relaxing until noon, even though our potlatch started at 5. And then we had so much work to do in the evening. At some point, like right before the potlatch, we were rushing to finish all our food, and I like got nervous or dizzy or something, and my vision started getting all tingly, and I looked at Jessica and I was like, hey, I'm getting pretty bad snow blindness right now. And she's like, oh, okay, cuz like just maybe take a break or something. We're scooping up food and rushing over to the hall. And so later, after all the stress was done, when we brought our food and it was properly prepared and we sat down and we were listening to the speeches, she leaned over to me and she goes, are you still snowblind? And I was like, no. And she goes, okay, because you were inside all day. Usually I only get that when I'm outdoors. We were just laughing because I think I was just nervous and I was all, I'm snowblind. I don't know. I don't know what was going through my head. And then I think this is the last picture I took from yesterday. Um, and I don't know, I was just proud of my niece. This is Jessica's daughter, Jamie McGinty. She made my earrings too, by the way. She's an up and coming beater. But she was helping Grandma Margaret into the hall, and so this was us kind of going back into the hall for the dancing portion of the evening. But yeah, that was it for the first part of Hia, or stick dance. And thanks for listening to me. Did anybody have comments or questions?
Do you have any special kind of costume you need to wear when you're dancing, or doesn't matter?
Yeah, the men's wear like a moose hide vest with beading on the back. And pretty similar to Southeast, they put their clan on the back. Most of our family here in Caltech is Caribou clan. So all the men stands up forward and they have beaded eagles or or not moose, caribou tracks beaded on their backs, or caribou heads. We wear, and then the women wear, we call it medzahulan. In Yupik, it's called kuspak, and that kind of became the statewide well-known term for it. But in Danaka, it's called medzahulan. And that just means outside covering. So when you're running outside to pick berries or work on something, you put on a medzahulan. But we wear that, and then women dance with a scarf, and so the reason we do that is the women, when we're dancing with our scarf, we're shaking up the ground because we're breaking down the barrier between us and our spirit ancestors. And so it's our time to be back together with them. We're singing songs about them. We're dancing together. And so we dance with a scarf. A lot of us have beaded gloves with beaver fur around the wrist, and I wear those. I didn't dance in them last night because it was kind of hot in the hall, but we also have da'ak, which is your outer jacket. And then I forget our word for boots. I'll look it up. I have some Inupiaq style muklaks I made that they're kind of hot, so I probably won't wear those. But then there's an Athabascan style too. I'll look up the Danaka word for it. Boots, and then headbands. My friends Delula and Kimberly have really beautiful beaded headbands that they did tufted caribou flowers on them and beads. It's really pretty. Mine I'm making is beads on purple dyed smoked moose hide.
We never had headbands before, and now it's really, really common
Oh yeah.
for men and women to wear.
Yeah. Yeah, we wear them up here. When I was younger, my cousin Tristan made me one, and that was for my first stick dance, I think in 2012 or something like that. And he made me one. Now I'm making a new one.
For your headbands, do they usually have everybody's names on them?
A lot of people put their names. Like my cousin Jessica, when she did all her kids, they all have their name. Um, I'm not sure, like, if that's just so that they wouldn't, if they lose it, they can find it again or what. I'll ask her. I'm not actually sure why, but a lot of people do. We put our names on them.
Cool.
Yeah. And then my cousin has eagle feathers too. I think we put those on to kind of look like caribou antlers. So we'll see if I get to that point where I put them on. The last part of stick dance I didn't share yet is that the reason we call stick dance is that they'll cut down a pole, the men will cut down a pole and bring it into the hall. And I'll share more about it later on, but that pole has a lot of spiritual power and significance because of the energy we put into it when we dance around it. And so our tribal hall is round, and it's built with a raised up center area with windows so the sunlight can come in, and there's a bar that goes across of it, kind of like a wood rafter, and the men will go in there, we'll dance it in, sing and dance as it comes in, and then we'll tie it off, the men will tie it off to a rafter, and then we hang up wolf hides, which are they call it bi'ik. It's a big spirited animal, so it has a lot of power. And then we hang those up around the pole. And then every night as we're dancing around it, we're putting a lot of energy into that pole and yeah, into the stick. And so at the end of the week, after that's all done, we take it outside and they break it in half, and it kind of releases it all. And so it helps us grieve for our loved ones we lost, because we got to spend the whole week with them, and then we get to say goodbye and let them go. And then after that, we celebrate. So we'll have a snowshoe race across the Yukon, and then if there's fiddling or something like that, that's pretty popular in the interior, fiddling and dancing like that. So jigging. So we'll probably have a dance at the end. It's a big week. A lot of my aunties, like one of my aunties stopped by this morning and was like, "Ah, I just feel calm now," because it's emotional to get ready for the week. You know, it's our traditional way of saying goodbye to our loved ones, and we take the whole week to do it. We don't rush it. And it's a big event. You're giving a lot. Like through your grieving, you're still giving. And I think that helps us. I think that's a big part of the healing for us, is to be able to give in honor of the person we loved and lost.
Well,
Good.
I was just going to say, Ganashish, thank you so much for sharing that, because I guess for me, as an Indigenous person, I just kind of, in a way, just kind of felt like we're all the same, or, that we do things the same. So it's very interesting to hear how it is different for different areas. So I really appreciated you sharing that. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, I didn't know a lot of that. And so, but it's cool to see a lot of the similarities and then a lot of the differences. And really appreciate you sharing that. I feel like I learned so much more about where you're from and where your dad's people belong.
Okay, Ganashish.
Not really here though.
Okay, Johan. Gonna chisha kaiti sa achi at kaudikit yaidat koa tsiye kasatin. Thank you for listening to me, everybody. We're at the end of our class, but we'll see you here Thursday, same time, same place.